Have you ever wondered why the air subtly shifts when a quiet woman enters the room? Why conversations soften, egos tighten, and certain men suddenly feel exposed without knowing why? She does not announce herself. She does not compete for attention, yet something ancient stirs. In Jungian terms, she activates the unconscious field, the space where masks crack and shadows whisper. Her presence becomes a mirror, and not every man is prepared to see what looks back. From the outside, he may appear composed, confident, even dominant, but internally, three uncomfortable truths begin to surface. The first is this: her stillness confronts his noise. Where he relies on performance, validation, and external markers of worth, her grounded silence reflects an inner life he has not cultivated. The ego feels threatened not by her words, but by her self-containment. Seneca warned that a man who cannot sit with himself will fear anyone who can. In her calm, his restlessness becomes undeniable. The psyche responds defensively. Projection begins. He may dismiss her as distant, intimidating, or emotionally unavailable. Yet these are not observations, they are confessions. The shadow resists recognition. A woman who has integrated her inner world disrupts a man still outsourcing his sense of self. You can feel this when eyes linger too long or avoid contact altogether. Something has been touched. And if this resonates, understand this: the discomfort is not yours to manage. It is the cost of standing whole in a fragmented room. What unfolds next is rarely conscious. The second truth surfaces quietly, almost invisibly. Her presence exposes the gap between who he performs as and who he actually is. Carl Jung described this as the tension between the persona and the authentic self. A quiet woman, especially one anchored in self-worth, does not reward performance. She does not clap for bravado. She does not chase approval. This destabilizes a man whose identity depends on being seen as impressive rather than being real. Internally, the ego scrambles. He may overcompensate with charm, dominance, or intellectual posturing. Or he may retreat, becoming cold, dismissive, even subtly hostile. These reactions are not about attraction alone, they are about control. When a woman cannot be easily read or influenced, the unconscious interprets her as a threat to psychological safety. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the disturbed mind seeks to disturb others. In this dynamic, the disturbance is not her silence, but his unresolved need to be affirmed. At a deeper level, she awakens the anima, the inner feminine principle within the male psyche. If this anima is wounded, neglected, or distorted by past rejection or maternal inconsistency, it manifests as discomfort around emotionally sovereign women. He senses depth he has not earned access to. Rather than rise to meet it, the shadow tempts him to devalue it. If you recognize yourself as the quiet one, understand this: the resistance you feel is not rejection, it is recognition without readiness. You are not being ignored, you are being felt. And for some, feeling is far more dangerous than desire. The third truth is the most unsettling, because it reaches beyond attraction and into identity. Her quiet power forces him to confront the possibility that he is unfinished, not evolving, unfinished. In Jungian psychology, this is the moment when individuation is either embraced or resisted. A woman who has faced her inner world, who has made peace with solitude, becomes a living question mark to a man still avoiding his own depths. Her presence asks, without words, "Who are you?" when no one is watching. This is where fear hardens into strategy. He may attempt to dominate the narrative, to define her before she defines herself. Labels become weapons: too guarded, too much, emotionally distant. Yet these labels are shields against the terror of inadequacy. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by things, but by the meanings they assign to them. To his unconscious, her autonomy means exposure. If she does not need him, then he must face the truth that need was never love, only leverage. For you, standing in that quiet strength, the temptation may arise to soften, to explain, to shrink so the room feels more comfortable. Resist it. The psyche grows only under tension. Your stillness is not passive, it is disciplined. It is the posture of someone who has stopped bargaining with their worth. When a man recoils from that, it is not because you are unapproachable, it is because you are uncontrollable. And control has always been the refuge of the unhealed. What follows is a subtle psychological standoff, rarely spoken, yet deeply felt. His unconscious now measures her not by desirability, but by threat to his internal hierarchy. A quiet woman rearranges power dynamics without lifting a finger. She does not seek to be chosen, and that alone fractures the traditional script. In Stoic terms, she governs what is hers, her reactions, her standards, her inner climate. Everything else is non-essential. This is intolerable to a man whose sense of value is contingent on external compliance. The shadow reacts by attempting to pull her into chaos. Inconsistency appears, mixed signals, periods of intense attention followed by withdrawal. These are not games, they are tests. The unconscious asks, will she abandon her center to soothe my insecurity? Will she explain herself into smaller shapes? When she does not, frustration grows. He is forced to sit with himself, and most have not trained for that silence. This is where modern trauma psychology intersects with ancient wisdom. A nervous system accustomed to volatility interprets calm as danger. Her regulated presence feels unfamiliar, even suspicious. The body confuses peace with loss of control. So he may seek women who mirror his dysregulation instead, louder, more reactive, easier to read. Not because they are superior, but because they are predictable. If you are watching this and recognizing the pattern, know this: your quiet is not a lack of warmth, it is emotional literacy. It signals boundaries that do not need defending, and anyone unsettled by that is revealing the work they have avoided. Over time, the dynamic crystallizes into a silent verdict. He either rises into self-examination or retreats into justification. The quiet woman becomes a psychological crossroads. To approach her authentically would require him to dismantle the persona he has carefully constructed, success, dominance, emotional detachment, and confront the raw material beneath it. Jung noted that until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct life and be called fate. Many men mistake their discomfort around her for incompatibility, never realizing it is an invitation to evolve. Those who retreat often rewrite the story. They convince themselves she was uninterested, aloof, or too complex. This preserves the ego while sacrificing growth. Stoic philosophy warned against this exact maneuver. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the cowardice of avoiding inner labor by blaming the external. In avoiding her, he avoids himself, and the psyche keeps score. Patterns repeat, different faces, same unease. For the woman, this phase can feel isolating. Silence is often misinterpreted as absence, depth as distance. But what is happening is refinement. She is no longer available to dynamics that require self-abandonment. Her nervous system recognizes stability and refuses to negotiate with chaos. This is not detachment born of fear, it is discernment born of experience. If this is you, understand that not being pursued by the unready is not loss, it is filtration. You are not meant to be understood by everyone. You are meant to be met by those willing to descend into themselves. Anything less would be a betrayal of your becoming.
At this stage, the psychological tension becomes almost palpable. She does not speak of his inconsistencies, yet they ripple through the room like unseen currents. The unconscious minds of both collide in delicate synchronicity. He projects inadequacy, and she responds with composure, presence, and unshakable boundaries. This quiet sovereignty is magnetic, and yet it terrifies. It asks a question that cannot be answered with words. Can you stand beside someone who refuses to be smaller for you? This is the point where many men reveal their third, toxic truth, the inability to tolerate reflection. A quiet woman is a mirror to the parts of him he has hidden or denied: childhood wounds, unmet ambitions, unprocessed anger, or the hollowness of ego-driven success. These reflections are uncomfortable because they demand reckoning. Trauma-informed psychology reminds us that avoidance is the default when the nervous system perceives threat, and a mirror that does not distort threatens that avoidance. She forces the confrontation whether he wants it or not. For her, the challenge is not to fix him or to coax him into readiness. It is to maintain the integrity of her own inner world. Her power lies in presence, not persuasion. Every gesture, every measured word signals the truth. You cannot control my stillness, my depth, or my self-possession. This is why he may oscillate between fascination and frustration, magnetized by what he cannot dominate, repelled by what he cannot predict. You, the quiet woman, hold an unspoken authority. It is not arrogance. It is the result of shadow work, self-respect, and the courage to face solitude without fear. He may resist, he may flounder, he may even lash out. None of it diminishes your worth. On the contrary, it illuminates the terrain of what he is yet to master. This interplay of attraction and resistance often exposes more than just individual flaws. It reveals societal conditioning and deep-seated archetypal scripts. A man unsettled by a quiet woman is, in essence, wrestling with centuries of projected dominance, entitlement, and the fear of being rendered unnecessary. Jung called these projections psychic debris, and they are rarely conscious. She becomes a catalyst, a living challenge to the ego's habitual strategies. Every attempt to diminish her presence, every subtle maneuver to reclaim control is a confession. He has not yet integrated the feminine within himself. In rooms where she moves with quiet confidence, his internal dialogue may turn desperate, though outwardly he seems composed. The unconscious, untrained in nuance or depth, reacts with tactics that feel almost animalistic: distraction, humor, minor manipulations. But the very subtlety of her presence counters these impulses effortlessly. She does not react with anger or compliance, she reacts with constancy. This constancy is not passive, it is an active defiance of being instrumentalized, a refusal to be measured by shallow standards. For those who have engaged in shadow work, who have confronted their own incompleteness, this encounter is electric. For those who have not, it is destabilizing. Yet it is never personal. It is simply the mechanism of psychic equilibrium. One cannot project onto what refuses to conform. Her depth becomes a mirror for his unresolved anxieties, and his discomfort is evidence of the work he must eventually do. If you are the quiet woman, understand the potency of what you hold. You are not creating tension, you are illuminating the voids he refuses to fill. And those voids, left unchecked, will forever define his limitations, not yours. This illumination, however, comes with its own rhythm. She moves through life not as an agitator, but as a sovereign presence. Each glance, each measured pause, each moment of stillness is a quiet assertion of self-possession. Men who are unprepared for such groundedness may respond with subtle sabotage, mocking, misreading, or testing boundaries, but their efforts are often transparent to her. The psyche recognizes when projection is at play, and when she maintains composure, he is forced to confront himself, whether he desires it or not. Her power lies in what she does not do. She does not over-explain, over-apologize, or perform to please. In a world obsessed with validation, her autonomy feels almost incendiary. To a man still negotiating dependency, this autonomy is threatening because it cannot be conquered, earned superficially, or coerced. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change. But I am willing to change only if the truth is demonstrated clearly." She embodies a similar truth. not through argument, but through presence. And yet, this dynamic is not about punishment or manipulation, it is about resonance. She attracts only what can reflect depth back to her. Those who recoil are revealing the terrain they have yet to traverse. Those who engage with respect are encountering an invitation to rise to a new level of emotional sophistication, psychological integrity, and self-awareness. In this, she is both guide and litmus test. You, the quiet woman, do not need to fight, explain, or justify. Your stillness is the gravity that holds your inner world intact. And in that gravity, those who are unready will drift away, leaving only those willing to meet you fully in the mirror of yourself.
With time, the pattern becomes unmistakable. Men who are unprepared for a quiet woman's depth may oscillate between fascination and frustration, admiration and subtle hostility. They are drawn to what they cannot control, yet repelled by the very qualities that make her whole. It is the paradox of shadow projection. The traits they fear within themselves are the ones they most desire in another. Jung observed that until the shadow is integrated, it will manifest externally, often as tension in relationships. She becomes the stage upon which these dramas are silently enacted. For her, witnessing this is not discouragement, it is clarity. Each reaction, each attempt to assert dominance or extract validation reveals the internal work that is, or is not, being done. She does not need to intervene or explain. Her role is not to repair, but to remain anchored, to allow the unconscious to show itself. In the mirror of her stillness, men confront the discomfort of their own incompleteness. Some retreat, some lash out. A few perhaps begin the journey of self-realization. That is not her burden, it is the natural consequence of her integrity. Modern psychology calls this emotional self-regulation. Stoicism calls it virtue, and Jungian thought calls it individuation. In every era, the quiet, self-possessed woman has been misunderstood, undervalued, or feared, not because she is weak or distant, but because she refuses to be a canvas for projection. And in refusing, she teaches one of the most profound lessons of relational psychology, that one cannot be loved or respected for what one does not embody oneself. If you are the quiet woman observing these dynamics, let this be a reassurance. Your stillness is not absence, it is power. Your boundaries are not walls, they are clarity. And your presence, unwavering and unshakable, is the crucible through which authenticity must pass. There is a subtle beauty in the way the quiet woman holds her space. She does not demand attention, yet she commands it effortlessly. Her aura is not loud, it is disciplined. Her gaze does not interrogate, it reflects. In her presence, the superficial cracks of ego are illuminated. Men who have spent a lifetime cultivating a persona find it unraveling thread by thread. It is not intentional cruelty on her part, it is simply the law of psychic resonance. Depth meets depth, and what cannot match it trembles. She moves through life like a slow, deliberate current, carrying within her a self-awareness that feels almost sacred. Trauma, societal expectation, and relational manipulation may have touched her, but they did not define her. She has wrestled with her shadow, confronted her inner chaos, and emerged capable of holding space without distortion. To be in proximity to her is to feel for the first time the gravity of unadulterated presence, a presence that refuses compromise and celebrates integrity. This is what unsettles men who have not done the same. Yet this does not mean she is inaccessible. The quiet woman's magnetism is an invitation to encounter the world honestly, without pretense. Those who can engage with her with clarity, patience, and respect are met with reciprocity. Those who cannot are gently filtered out. The process is quiet, almost imperceptible, but it is uncompromising. It is an act of self-preservation, of empowerment, and ultimately of liberation. You, who recognize yourself in this reflection, are not required to justify, to explain, or to bend. Your power is in your constancy, your self-possession, and the unspoken knowledge that your worth is not conditional upon the approval of those unready to face themselves. This filtering, the natural, inevitable separation between those ready and those unready, becomes a defining feature of her relational landscape. She no longer chases validation, no longer accommodates instability, no longer dilutes her presence to make others comfortable. Every interaction becomes a subtle calibration. Who meets her at the level of authenticity, and who falls away under the weight of their own unresolved shadows? Jung called this the test of individuation, the unconscious revealing itself through the mirror of others. The quiet woman is both observer and arbiter. She does not create the tension, she simply refuses to absorb what is not hers. The men unsettled by her quiet strength are often unaware of what is occurring. Their reactions, anxious overcompensation, fleeting charm, microaggressions, or the soft sabotage of passive resistance are all unconscious manifestations of the fear of incompleteness. They are simultaneously drawn to her depth and terrified by it. The dynamic becomes a living study of projection. Everything she elicits is a reflection of what has not been integrated within them. And yet, she does not flinch. Her center is unmoved. She remains a constant in the chaos, a fixed point of clarity, a demonstration of psychological sovereignty. For her, this awareness transforms solitude into sanctuary rather than void. Each instance of resistance, each failed attempt to dominate or manipulate, confirms the necessity of her boundaries. It is an exercise in discernment, in refinement, and ultimately in liberation. She has learned that not every presence is meant to be met on her terms, and those who cannot align with authenticity are not losses, but confirmations of her evolved criteria. You, the quiet woman, have inherited a rare kind of freedom, the ability to exist fully, unshaken within your own depth. And in that freedom, you no longer wait for approval. You radiate integrity, uncontainable and uncompromised.
This freedom, however, is not passive. It is the product of relentless self-examination, the courage to face one's own shadow, and the refusal to be swayed by the turbulence of unhealed others. Every quiet gesture, every measured word is a statement of sovereignty. Men who attempt to unsettle her are encountering a force that is not reactive, but reflective. They are confronted with the parts of themselves they have hidden: shame, inadequacy, fear of vulnerability. And because she does not flinch, they are forced either to step into maturity or retreat into avoidance. It is here that the power of the quiet woman becomes undeniable. She does not need to dominate conversation, perform seduction, or over-explain herself to elicit respect. Her presence alone acts as a magnet for authenticity, a crucible in which character and intent are revealed. In Jungian terms, she embodies the integrated feminine, an archetype that calls the male psyche to wholeness. Her stillness is not emptiness, it is a mirror, a challenge, and an invitation. Those who resist the reflection often project toxicity, revealing truths about themselves they may never articulate. Those who meet her gaze with clarity are touched by a transformative awareness that relationship begins with the self, not with conquest. For you, the quiet woman, the lesson is simple yet profound. Do not dilute your essence for the comfort of others. Your value is inherent, rooted in the work you have done to claim your own psyche. Those unsettled by you are revealing the work they have avoided, not your inadequacy. Your magnetism is a testament to your depth, and your boundaries are the sacred lines that preserve your integrity. Over time, this dynamic reveals its final, most liberating truth. The quiet woman is never diminished by resistance, she is only clarified by it. Every man who recoils, withdraws, or lashes out is simply delineating the limits of his own preparedness. He exposes what cannot be met without shadow work, emotional regulation, and the courage to sit with discomfort. And she watches, not with judgment, but with an unwavering calm that emanates from self-possession. Her power is quiet, but it is absolute. It does not demand recognition, it does not seek control, and it cannot be undermined by immaturity. This realization allows her to move through life unencumbered by the need for external validation. She understands that attraction, attention, or approval are not indicators of worth. They are incidental responses to a state of being she has cultivated within herself. Each encounter with a man who cannot meet her depth is a confirmation of her discernment, a test she passes by refusing to contract herself to fit the expectations of the unready. In this space, silence is strength, presence is authority, and self-possession is magnetic beyond any performance of charm or seduction. Ultimately, her journey is one of liberation. The quiet woman discovers that the turbulence of others' projections cannot penetrate the armor of her self-knowledge. The men unsettled by her presence are not failures, they are reflections of the inner work still required in themselves. And she, standing fully embodied in her own gravity, no longer chases, no longer explains, and no longer negotiates for recognition. She simply exists, complete, sovereign, and untouchable by the unhealed. Her final lesson is clear and piercing. The only power worth surrendering is the power over oneself, and in mastering that, she is untouchable.
In the quiet aftermath of these encounters, the transformation becomes subtle yet profound. The woman who has held her ground begins to notice the patterns dissolve around her. Men who once sought to destabilize now fade, replaced by those whose own self-awareness allows for true resonance. Her presence, once a mirror of shadow and projection, now acts as a beacon for those aligned with authenticity. She is no longer a test for the unready. She becomes a compass for the capable, guiding connection through depth rather than drama. This stage is where emotional freedom crystallizes. The quiet woman no longer carries the burden of others' discomfort. She does not negotiate attention, does not argue for respect, and does not shrink to soothe fragility. Stoic philosophy resonates here. External events do not define her. Her inner citadel does. Each moment of stillness becomes a meditation in power, each encounter a reflection of discernment rather than desire for control. Her autonomy is a declaration. She is whole, complete, and self-sustaining. In embracing this truth, she experiences a profound sense of rebirth. Freed from the expectations of projection-driven relationships, she inhabits a space where connection is mutual, balanced, and intentional. Those who cannot meet her depth naturally exit the orbit, leaving her unshaken, her energy undiluted. In this liberation, she finds clarity. The measure of a man's worth is no longer a matter of charm or persistence, but of presence, integrity, and readiness to face his own shadows. And so, standing fully in her quiet power, she realizes validation was never owed, attention was never currency, and control was never necessary. The world bends not to her will, but to the gravity of her self-possession. At last, the quiet woman arrives at the final truth. Her value has never been contingent upon recognition or conquest. Every encounter, every moment of subtle resistance she endured, every reflection of shadow projected onto her was not a trial of endurance, but a mirror of clarity. The men who could not rise to meet her depth were never obstacles. They were guides pointing toward her own sovereignty. Jung taught that individuation requires confronting the unconscious, and in every interaction, she has witnessed others' shadows while fortifying her own light. Her liberation is both internal and visible. She no longer bends to the noise of ego-driven chaos. She no longer softens her edges to soothe the unsettled. Instead, she moves through the world with the serenity of someone who has integrated her shadow, reconciled her wounds, and embraced her own wholeness. This presence does not command attention through spectacle, it demands respect through existence. In the alchemy of silence, she transmutes judgment into discernment, turbulence into clarity, and resistance into freedom. To any quiet woman watching and wondering whether the struggle is worth it, know this:
Every moment you have preserved your integrity, every ounce of patience with yourself, every refusal to shrink has brought you closer to untouchable power. The men who recoiled were never your loss. They were simply reflections of the work they have not yet undertaken. You, however, have completed a chapter of your evolution that cannot be shaken by external chaos. And in that space, the ultimate realization dawns, piercing and liberating. No one can diminish the light that rises from the depths of self-possession. The quiet woman is not merely present, she is whole, sovereign, and invincible.
Stand in your power. Embrace your depth. Let no one shake your worth. If this spoke to you, ignite the conversation. Share your thoughts below. Like for more insights that empower your journey, and subscribe to Rise with Us. Your presence matters. Let's grow stronger together, one reflection at a time.